I wish for mobi be akwaba eba Diamond TV so. But more than so betimi a like, no share, no subscribe page no e dia mame. Na afen so no comment. Unse ye nyina ye di nkomo ho na ye to adwena. Na story no so no ye famu aba na ja ye de ebo ye bra. Sometimes stories in bi ha wote abusa ho say into e asem asi. Cause e look so weird. It e no crepa. Yes, ubebusa ho say question but no credit say eya de ato amanfo ato ebi mu ebi betimi ato me ne wo eho enkomo ana de bia me de ebra wo no edenti ne me pese wo ye nyina ne se emra wo hwe na wo hye no na ye de tutu ye ho fo ne ye de hwe se so china bi sa ohaw bi we bi ben ehu kwan be fa so atu hu anamo enen so ye nua ba bi asema me no ba be che no emu owerem ye areho pa na de man ya asefim na areho pa kese ne se abaya yi kire se na brabo mu nyina no one ne papa ana na ete na enam so one ne papa na te no onim bebia ne maame ewonti one ne papa ana dadan e ba akum na sa dan no ma ana de bia ne papa e fa ne guess e de omoba o se ne papa sesam mamu pa sesam mamu sa na nan papa nso oba ba ma bi owo no nchen nti ne step brother mu nyina dadan mu ho no moba ode ne guess ne ba eja ne papa ni so mada ba de omu ye bia no mu so ehu nti later no afei no ono ni nua be ma no ne step brother no no mu so practice de ne papa ene ema ne ba wo mu eye ni bi abusuanfo asefem o kire se ohun se ne papa ene abaya no sebio omu ososo ne papa be ma mu twetwetwema no omu so ye bi onfefe o ma no omu so ye bi ade o ma anya ne se sebi ode ne be ma be hye na se anaso one ne beda eno nkwa ne ade o ma anya bi na arehosem ne se BBC ama ni nua be ma ne efrifie na ni nua be ma ne frifie no afi papa ne be hye ebo se enya ade oba ma oba bia be fie ho biem na oba bia ma fie ho biem ede na asinti ene abaya yi edete Pastor Prince anim areho odi enkonkotie no.
My name is Sarah. I'm a banker. I'm married and a mom of 2. For the past 2 weeks, there has only been one thought on my mind, and that is to poison myself and my 2 children.
Wow.
So when I came across you on social media, I decided to come on this show to share my story. Growing up, life has not been easy for me because my mom left me with my father. My father had another child, which is a boy, so that is a stepbrother. I was living with my father and my stepbrother in the same room. My father kept bringing different women to the house every night. And whatever they do, whenever they are making out, thinking my brother and I are asleep, we've been watching them.
What is making out?
Having sex.
Okay.
We've been watching them. So whenever nobody is around, my stepbrother and I also practice what we see them do, but we don't have sex. So we see them kiss, so we also kiss, blowjob.
What is blowjob?
Putting his manhood into my mouth.
Okay.
Fingering me.
Your brother?
My stepbrother.
Your stepbrother is your brother?
Yes. So that's what we've been doing. This went on for some time until my father brought in one lady that he wanted to settle down with. This woman maltreated my brother and I so badly. It got to a time he couldn't take it. So he got into a fight with my father. It was a heated argument.
Between who and who?
My brother and my father.
What was the fight about?
It was about the woman. My brother could not take the maltreatment anymore. So he wanted the lady out. So he got into a fight with my father. So out of the heated argument, my brother left the house and has not returned till date.
Wow.
We don't know his whereabouts. When my brother left, I was still with this evil woman. She went on maltreating me until God saved me one day. She stabbed me the whole day, and my father came to the house to pick up something he had forgotten and chanced upon the woman, meting out devilish and evil treatments to me. He
What
got,
was she doing to you at that very time?
she was beating me with my father's belt. My father was angry. So they both got into a fight.
Your father and the woman,
Got into a
the
fight.
supposed wife.
Yes, got into a fight and eventually she left. She packed out. So that day, my father vowed and promised me that he was never going to bring in any woman into our lives. And he kept to his word. My father didn't bring in any other woman. Our lives went on peacefully. My father took good care of me. I realized that at night, my father comes to lie behind me, and then he has been touching me in a certain way, touching my back,
Father.
touching my breast, thinking I am asleep, but I've been watching him. He touches me for some time, and then he goes back to his bed to sleep. This continued for some time, and then we went on to another level. He gives me creams to apply on his manhood and play with it.
He gives you cream
Yes,
to apply on his manhood.
yeah, to play with it. That is a hand job.
Can you buy my mom?
Yes,
It's called a hand job.
yes, it's called a hand job. At that time, I was so young, I didn't know what I was doing. Because anytime I was doing that with him, he has been making funny noises. And it was weird to me. So we continue doing this. We do this all the time. And it went on for a very long time because I was young. Then I got admission into the senior high school. I was a day student. And this time around, I had become a full-grown woman. I knew what was good and I knew what was bad. At this point, my father introduced me to pornography. He started watching pornographic videos with me.
Your father?
Yeah. He started watching pornographic videos with me. And then one day, eventually, we did it.
You did what?
My father had sex with me.
Your biological father?
Yes. So, we became sex partners, if I should say it that way. My father had been sleeping with me, and it got to a time I became addicted to it. I was also enjoying it. We were both obsessed with each other and we're possessive. I get jealous anytime I see my father with another woman. My father is a church elder. So even if we go to church and I see him talking to other people, females, I get jealous. I get so angry to the extent that we do get into fights.
You and your father?
Yeah, when we get home. And he always assures me that, oh, I'm the only one.
Your father?
Yes. The same way my father also doesn't want any man coming close to me. If he sees any guy coming close to me, he gives them a stern warning and they stay away from me. We're having, our usual escapades. It continued, and then I got into the university. And then I met a man. I met the man of my dreams. I met this guy that had everything that I wanted in a man. Physically, character, everything. So I fell in love with him. What even made me love him more was the fact that he was the only man who had come into my life and had not asked me for sex.
He was God-fearing?
Yes. To the extent that he even promised to wait till after marriage.
You accepted?
Yes.
Why?
Accepted because he's the only man who has not asked me for sex. And he has been nice to me, caring, providing for me, everything. So I accepted.
But I thought you said you had become addicted to sex.
Yes. But I was not bothered with the fact that he didn't want to have sex because my father was there.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So we were in the relationship and then it got to a time and he proposed. When I was in my final year, he proposed. So I took him to my father. My father accepted the guy. Initially, I thought my father would not agree since he doesn't like other men coming to me. But he agreed to the marriage. And when the guy left, he told me it's because the guy doesn't live here with us. The guy doesn't live in the country. He lives outside. He just comes and goes. So my father told me that is why he accepted the guy. Because he doesn't live here with us, so we can have time to do our things. So After school, we got married. But then, the eve to my wedding, my father and I had sex.
The eve to your wedding?
Yes. My father and I had sex and...
The eve to your wedding?
Yes.
That means the engagement ceremony had already been done?
Yes.
And you were married, though? So it's
Yes.
just the wedding?
The white wedding.
The white wedding?
Yeah.
Your father has sex with you?
Yes. And he made me promise him that I was not going to abandon him or leave him because I've gotten married. That I was not going to stop sleeping with him because I've gotten married. I also promised him that I was not going to leave him, even though I'm married now. After all, my husband doesn't live here. After the wedding and honeymoon, my husband spent some time here with me and then he went back. Few months later, I found out I was pregnant. I was happy, my husband was happy, because finally our family is complete. At that time, I was staying with my father. I was in my father's house, a house that I supported him build after school because I got a good job. I got a good paying job. So I was staying with my father because my husband is not here. Even though he has built a house in Kumasi, I was able to convince him to stay with my father in Accra so that at least I have a relative around me. When I had my baby, few weeks later, my father fell ill. And then I had to juggle work, taking care of my baby, at the same time taking care of my sick father. It was tedious, but I could handle it. It wasn't that serious since I didn't have much to do. So all this while, my husband has been coming and going. He comes
How often does he come?
like every 6 months, sometimes 3 months. When my baby was 1.5 years old, I found out I was pregnant again.
With the second child?
Yeah, with my second child. But unfortunately, I lost my dad at that time. I lost him a few days after I found out I was pregnant with my second child. So my husband came down for the funeral preparations. And it was during that preparation that a woman showed up claiming she's my mother. But the least said about her, the better.
How did you know she was your mother?
She came to me.
Did you by any means notice any resemblance?
Yes, I did. I do look like my mom so much. Yeah. After the funeral and everything was settled, my husband went back. So we went back to our normal lives. My husband coming down to spend time with us whenever he can, whenever he gets the opportunity. Now, this is where the problem is. My husband is filing for the kids and I to join him there. But for the filing process, they have to conduct a DNA test. And when the results came out, my first child is not for my husband.
Your first child is not for your husband?
Yes.
And the second one?
It's for my husband. We did the DNA test again, and it was the same results. Now my husband is broken, he's shattered. He's at the verge of committing suicide. He does not reply my messages. He does not answer my calls. Sometimes he will call on video call and you see him drinking himself to death. And at this point, I do not know what to do. I am shattered. I have regretted everything that I've done.
The 2 children, which of them does not belong to your husband?
My first child.
Your first child.
And now my husband says he's coming down to take the kids himself to the hospital to conduct the DNA test again. And now that's the problem. How do I tell? Because in my life, I've slept with just 2 men, my father and my husband, which means that my first child is for my father. So how do I tell my husband that my father is the one responsible for my child? If it were to be an outsider, it would have been easier. How do I face the world when they get to hear that I had a child with my own biological father? I do not know what to do. That is why I think the best option for me is to end it all.
Around, where is your mother?
As for my mom, what I did to her at my father's funeral, I don't think she will ever look for me or come close to me. I don't know what to talk about her.
Okay. Did your brother come for the funeral?
No.
So you don't know whether your brother is alive or dead?
Yeah, we don't know. We don't have any information about him.
And you say he joined a bad gang?
Yes, he did.
When you were younger, you didn't know any of the things that your father was doing to you. And so you were quiet. What about when you grew up? Why didn't you stop it?
I couldn't do anything about it or talk to anybody because my father kept blackmailing me emotionally.
How?
He kept saying that I'm the reason why he's lonely. He doesn't have any woman in his life because he doesn't want to bring in any woman for the person to maltreat me like the previous one did.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
Did you grow up being a Christian?
Yes.
Did you go to church?
Yes, my father
Yes,
was,
you said your father was
a church elder.
You didn't confide in any pastor?
Pastors.
What about pastors?
Even the pastors were coming after me, you know. My father even got into a fight with one pastor because of that. He wanted him to stay away from me, but he didn't want to listen. So I didn't have anybody to talk to. If the person you want to talk to himself wants a piece of you, how can you tell them?
Why did you choose to marry your husband?
I married him because I love him. And he was the only man who was not interested in my body. He was genuine. He proved that he had true love for me.
And when you met your husband and you loved him, why didn't you stop with your dad?
Because I was addicted. I was already addicted and I was enjoying it. It has become normal to me.
In your life, how many men have you slept with?
2. My husband, my father.
Your husband and your dad?
Yeah.
Who does the first child look like?
The first child looks like me, so you wouldn't know.
And the DNA proves that the child does not belong to your husband?
Yes.
So imagine your husband wants to come and pick the second one alone and leave you and your first child. Is that what you are avoiding?
It's not about me avoiding him taking the other child. I'm hurt at the fact that I've hurt my husband because he's a good man. This thing has really broken him. And my fear is what he would do when he finds out the child is for my father and not even any random guy.
You are familiar with the Twi language, so
yes.
I want to address you in Twi. Me person me mount here say achia so wuye. If you right now, ujina ekon kesia no. And this one has fulfilled scripture. The wages of sin is death. What you are dead inside of you. So when the Bible says that the wages of sin is death, the Bible means it. Number 1, onipa ne hu ye bufu in your story. Your irresponsible mother. O mami, ne hu ye mobo story. You left your daughter. I mean, sometimes I don't understand some women. O baba no weja o baba ama bema so tetelo. Bema otumetiti oba. Number 2, your papa, how irresponsible you could be. Say, onim so one ma e wo fear ankola na fe no musisu. No de ma e be feel. Sometimes ya dey didn't say ankola ni hu, but ankola ni hu. And this should be a lesson to every mother and every father. How you lay your bed is how you lie on it. Send your best so ketelo, san our bed aso. And our papa ni dey evil. What will let you know so papa? They are not know a covenant. And he said, have you realized that the moment you gave birth, your father died? Because he had committed the most abominable thing on earth. So if John the Baptist is there, Jesus has to go. If Jesus is there, John the Baptist will have to go. And that is why your father went. Because he had abused God's power for his life. You are in a serious dilemma. How to tell your husband that the child I don't know how to say it, and I don't want to accuse you. You were lured into this. For the first time, I am feeling very guilty talking to your situation, because we knew how to address your issue. And it's sad when you have a child for your dead father. I'm not here to condemn you, madam. You're but anyhow, we will solve this matter. I want you to know, say, this is your matter. It is beyond me. We need to get counselors and psychologists to talk to you. You are going through hell. Going through hell.
Se wutie abaya ne nsem na efa baabi no wanya de krefise mra ono aka se o start se o senior high school no ay matured na onim bibia no na nkedi se o kate sade no e wone ne papa ntem hwe ne hwe de asie papa ne nukro ni oye bonsam papa oye bonsam pa e no de ne de konse do ahrewo wasa ne ba ne life asef me papa nanso atia ne muye ekwan bia so no Pastor Prince any team no ebehwe atoto bibia asem we de ho update beba de besi we akire bia no se be ma no begina tumbiem so onye ne ntumbiem no ye de ho update beba but modern so betimi a share no like no subscribe page no no chena bia content bia tuma onso wenya bi beda se papa na okuda nchembo enemy din nyame nhyira